Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's Friday today, and we have our stories of hope. I'm so excited to introduce you to our first guest is Dawn Super. She is currently in California, and she's an empowerment coach, inspiring empowerment coach, who helps individuals thrive, regardless of their circumstances. Living with lifelong health challenges, including narcolepsy, she uses her unique mindset magic strategies to guide clients towards authentic self-love and personal growth. Dawn's transformative approach combines intuitive understanding, empathy, and creative solutions, making her an ideal coach for those navigating difficult paths. Welcome to the show today, Dawn Super.
Thank you so much for having me.
So great. So how did you get started in this work? How did you get started initially?
This work was like 4 decades in the making. I had a very isolated childhood and quickly came upon health issues. So I had to navigate a lot of things by myself, and I didn't do a very good job. And I remember things really started to change when I watched The Secret. I felt like there was some sort of magic in there that maybe I had been missing all along. And that was right around my 40th birthday. And I had started a business and made a lot of connections. And on my 41st birthday, I had over 100 people wish me a happy birthday.
Wow.
I went to with 14 kids, and none of them liked me. I had no friends until I was, well into my 30s. So to have 100 people, and it wasn't just, happy birthday, happy birthday. It was so great to see you in Vegas. Thank you for your posts. I love to come to your wall. I feel so encouraged. And something inside that tumblers just clicked, and I felt true happiness, like for the first time in my life. And in the time that passed since, I've realized that I let all of my issues stand in front of me. Happy was always there. Friendships were always there, but I wasn't aligned with that.
So when you say you let all your issues stand in front of you. So when you're talking about, like, as soon as you said, I had a very isolated childhood. When you say that, that makes me curious, makes me wonder, like, what kind of isolated childhood? Like, what was it? Did you not have a mom and a dad? Were you locked away in a room? What?
Yeah, it's curious. My parents were divorced, and when I was 3. And I had an older sister who was 5 years older and a younger sister who was a year and a half younger. And we were latchkey kids. I lived in Niagara Falls, New York, in a tiny little town. I went to a special school, the religious school they sent me to. There were only 14 kids, and none of them liked me. And I didn't know how to be I didn't have any role models. I didn't have, Nancy Drew was my role model. Like, all my books were all that I really had as a kid. So things like gossip and stealing and lying, and I didn't figure those things out as a child. And it affected people wanting to be friends with me. But when you're annoying and a tattletale and do things that are socially unacceptable, and there's no one around to sit you down and say, hey, that's not a good idea, and this is why it's not a good idea, and here are some things you can try instead, you just continue to be a train wreck.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's hard.
It was
That-
hard.
Oh my gosh, that's hard.
Yeah. So when I found the happiness and I started making real connections, I had a writing partner. Because I have narcolepsy, I reach REM sleep very quickly. So
What is narcolepsy?
narcolepsy is a chronic neurological disease that affects the sleep wake cycles in a
Okay.
person. So, similar to how a diabetic can't control their blood sugar, I can't control my sleep wake cycles.
So what does that mean? Like you'll just all of a sudden fall asleep. You could fall asleep right now?
Well, it's funny because I just scheduled a webinar on how to explain this to people with
Oh,
narcolepsy. Not even something that the doctors talk about, but for me, I noticed like two decades in that I get a sensation in my brain, like something's been unplugged. And then from there, I start to head further and further into sleep deprivation. I'll excessive yawning, eyes watering. I'll bump into things. I'll forget what I'm doing. The further it goes, like if I don't go sleep then, I'll start seeing things out of the corner of my eye. And I really head deeply into it. So I'm planning the webinar to educate people about the sensation and the kind of things to look for and to realize that the symptoms, they're like going down a slide. And if you don't, like like a diabetic needs to eat an orange, if you
yeah.
don't that nap, the nap's going to take you.
Mm.
And that's when people fall asleep when they don't want to. Also with narcolepsy, like if you left me alone here for 20 minutes and I was only waiting for you, I didn't have anything to entertain myself with, I would be asleep by the time you came back. My
Wow.
no, you got to keep me busy.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's
Yeah.
quite a way. I mean, that's quite interesting to, learn how to be if you have something like this, like going from a state of sleep to a state of being awake. I like the analogies you use, like with a diabetic having to eat an orange or drink a soda or something, have some kind of sugar in order to not go into an attack. Just like epilepsy would go into a seizure, an epileptic seizure, right? So you would then fall asleep and go straight into that realm sleep, is what you said.
Yes. I've actually slept standing up. So I've slept walking, holding someone's arm. I hit REM sleep in less than 90 seconds. So I can start to dream before I'm actually asleep. Like before my body is in sleep paralysis, I can
That's
start to dream.
all kind of scary, what you're saying.
It has been. In
Does it?
fact,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
add the isolation
Yeah.
with I'm a teenager and I'm having these sleep paralysis hallucinations of like if I don't wake myself up, I'm gone forever. Like the evil's coming to get me, and dreaming that I woke up dreaming that I got ready for school, but I'm still asleep. Like and not knowing what was wrong with me because I
Mhm.
didn't. I was 22. Everybody kept telling me it was all in my head, so I went to a shrink. And I told him, I said, every day after lunch, I would put my head down and I could still hear everything that was going on, but I couldn't move. And that's when he knew. That's called cataplexy, status cataplectus, where your brain puts your body into sleep paralysis even though you're not asleep.
Wow. So I just want to, we know that this sounds scary and it is scary, and we know that it could be dangerous. There's a lot of things to this that we see all the negative points, the bad things. Is there any positive to this?
It's fun that you ask that because you've heard of CRISPR, CRISPR,
Yeah.
editing. One of the geneticists who's responsible for that has had narcolepsy. His name
Okay.
was George Church. And when he started conceptualizing these things, he would take a nap and his brain would give him the answer in dreams. And I had a similar experience with my writing where I would think about the characters and I would get stuck and then I would take a nap and I would dream what they were going to do, and then I would get up and write it. So um, when you can rationalize yourself through the scary stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it, there can be magic to it. Yes. I don't want to say, like George Church says, narcolepsy is a feature, not a bug. And the reason for that was because he's been able to build a life around his narcolepsy. And after 5 decades, I also have been able to build my life around narcolepsy. But I don't want to minimize anything for the people who have not been able to do that, the people who still struggle trying to push a 40-hour work week and have no life because that's all they can do.
So what is the stat? What is the stat? How many people suffer from this?
Diagnosed, the average is 1 in 2,000, but
Mm.
it's speculation that there are a lot more because, you know, over half of Americans have some sort of sleep disorder. They
Mm.
either have sleep apnea, where they stop breathing in their sleep, or they have insomnia, chronic insomnia, where they can't sleep at night. So until you have your sleep apnea controlled and you're still sleepy, you don't know if you have narcolepsy.
Oh yeah.
And then it took me 11 years to get diagnosed. The average is down now to 7 years diagnosis, but people walk around in this extended state of sleep deprivation 24/7, 365 days a year, and do not even realize that it's not normal.
This is so incredible. First of all, I mean, I, have been awake to all the various different diseases and healing modalities and everything, but I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of this before. So this is new to me. I can only imagine what this would do to someone that's getting ready to experience menopause
Mm.
and change that happens, during that time, because that's a story all in its own, and what it does to your hormones and how the changes that take place, the things that we're just now really being educating ourselves on with what happens. So it's good that you're bringing awareness to this, and that you're helping people that are suffering from this. So I'm glad that you're speaking about this. So you've said now you've built your life around this, and that you're helping people. Obviously, you're doing a webinar, you're showing up for things, you're helping clients. So, what do you want to say to people about this?
Well, whether or not you have a lot of sleep issues, um, narcolepsy is really affected by your emotions. So if you look at the metaphysical reason for narcolepsy, like if you look in one of those metaphysical books for the reason for narcolepsy, it's you're trying to hide from life. And
Oh,
look at my past. I came into this joint amidst chaos, and it didn't stop. And so it makes sense for me that I wanted to hide from my life because it was miserable. And in the time since, I worked on all of my weaknesses that made the narcolepsy worse. My low self esteem, the fact that I gossiped, the fact that I didn't like who I was, the fact that I didn't know who I was, that I would blame people, that I would judge people, that I would judge myself, that I wasn't on my own side, that I had no one to encourage me, that I was completely alone. I felt very alone. And in fact, the tagline for narcolepsy is narcolepsy, not alone, because when people find out there are other people who have this, there's such a huge relief for them. So for me, if you are sad, if you don't like yourself, you're not alone. If you don't know what to change about your life, you're not alone. And there is guidance out there. I mean, just listening to a bunch of your shows yesterday, I got so much, wisdom just dropped on my head. And that is how we adapt. That is how we learn to fit the hard things in our life into our lives, is by remembering that happy matters. No matter what you're going through, it matters.
so do you feel that you can heal
I
from,
have.
do you feel like, that you can heal from narcolepsy 100%? No.
No. And
Because the reason why ask you that question is because epilepsy, can you heal from epilepsy 100%? And I can tell you, yes, you can. So on an emotional component, if I was to look it up, I can't remember exactly what it is about the emotional piece for epilepsy, but something to the effect that you don't want to be present in your life. You don't want to be here. Something like that has
yeah,
something like that to do with it, on the emotional. So if you're healing the emotional body, you're healing the mental body, you're healing the spiritual body, and the last place is always the physical body. So do you feel that narcolepsy can be healed all the way?
well, narcolepsy has a lot of comorbidities. Like I have 9 disorders. I don't just have narcolepsy. Most people don't just have narcolepsy. Sleep deprivation wreaks havoc on the body, so it destroys a lot of systems. Now, I've gone through NLP, the clearing negative emotions.
Yeah.
I'm following Human Garage to clear the trauma from my body. I'm doing better than I ever have in my life because I got all that stuff out of the way. So, yeah, I think if you can get to a place where you're not stressed and you're relaxed and you're enjoying yourself and you're not feeling less than, you can experience a lot more wakefulness. Whether or not your receptors are going to regrow, that that would be in the miracle department, which I do also believe in, but I don't want to put out there to minimize anyone else's experience.
So all those places that you used to live in where you gossiped, where you did all the things, the judging, all of that, that you were projecting out onto other people in order to, realize yourself to see what it all is, because that's ultimately what happened is you saw a behavior of what you were doing and you didn't like it because people rejected you, right? Would you say now that you love yourself?
Completely. I have a great phrase. It's we often sensibilities are not a breakfast cereal. We often eat our sensibilities in order to try and form connections with people.
Yeah.
And I had to stand alone as an island and realize that from the cradle to the grave, I will be the only constant. It's impossible for anyone else to take this journey with me all the way. So it helped me see that everyone I interact with is temporary. And it helped me feel less alone.
So powerful what you're saying. It's so great. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. Are you active on social media? How are people able to connect with you there?
I'm on Facebook, Super Comma Dawn, spelled out COMMA. I thought it was cute. And I have a YouTube channel, Dawn Super, with no spaces. And I have over 200 videos on there, including what happens if I don't judge other people, what happens if I don't blame other people, what happens if I don't think about my suffering either now or in the past. And they are an anthology of how I got here through so much trauma.
Yeah. So basically, you awakened, the healer within.
Yes.
You awakened the healer within, and you started taking responsibility for uh, your creations. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the battle. It was the old me, the now me, and the new me. And I would stand in that now and I would look back at what I used to, what I would have done, and think about what I want to do. And I created all these little phrases and stuff to help me remember who I wanted to be, because there's 4 stages to learning. The first thing is that you notice something's wrong and you got to do something about it. Second one is you find strategies that could possibly work for you. The third is you practice, you implement those strategies over and over, and then you finally become that person. And I kept getting stuck right here. I would know what I needed to do, but when it came time to practice, I would get triggered and I would forget. So I created all these little be someone you want to hang around with. Sensibilities are not a breakfast cereal. Happy matters. And I just tricked myself into staying on the path. Not tricked myself, but like, I don't know, I had like,
Coaxed. It was like a coax. It was like a Coke's basically, you were just calling yourself out. You were like basically you had your own cheerleader on board that was coaxing you out. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, in fact, I'm launching on August 8th the encouragement challenge, and it's 14 days of strategies. Like they all build on each other, and they teach you how to become like me, where you don't need anyone else to feel encouraged. You shine your light, your authentic light, and just be yourself no matter what's wrong with you or who likes you or this exist and enjoy it.
So it seems to me like um you are what you're talking about, like when we talk about narcolepsy today, your work is so much more than just that. It's really, a spiritual foundation, having a spiritual foundation. And I almost see like a new human
Yes.
human, like, right? A new human, so that you're not acting from the old human, the lower self, but you're acting from the new human. And since you didn't have a role model, how do you, how important do you think that it is to have a role model?
Incredibly important.
Right?
So much easier. I like as I grew older, I would watch people. In fact, I have fake parents. They're about my age. They've been married for 20 years, and I call them in my mind my mom and my dad, and I watch the way they behave with each other, to each other in the world, and I want to model that rather than, you know, go blind.
So, no, that's so great. Because when you say you have fake parents, who are they? Are they people that you made up in your head, or are they real?
Yeah. In fact, the business that I mentioned that I started earlier, they were one of my first customers. I met them at a birthday party, and I admired the fact that they worked together and got along so well. And I just became friends with them, and I would spend a lot of time with them. And yeah, they're just great dad, mom energy to the whole community, not just to me. A lot of people look at them that way. So it was a healthy option for me.
Yeah, I think that's again brilliant on your part to see it. Because if you don't see it, if you don't recognize it, then you don't know, right? You have to be able to see it. I mean, and I think the archetype is so important. Like we need to see, what is like healthy parents, like what is a great relationship, what is a great marriage. We need those role models. What is a new human look like? What does it look like? How does a new human act? How does that practically play out in their lives? How is it that you show up in your leadership every day? How is it that you show up and co-create the new, if you will, right? So to have the archetypes is so important.
It is, yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have a small circle of friends now, or how has that part of your life? Obviously, we're going longer. So uh, um, do you have a small circle of friends now that support you?
I actually have a massive circle of friends. I have 2,500 people with narcolepsy in a group that I'm the admin of for a decade, and a lot of them look up to me. And so I have like less than two handfuls of really core friends that I go have coffee with, and we catch up and we have dinners and stuff like that. But I literally communicate probably with 50 to 100 people a week on a level like that, where it's I know that about them and what they're going through, and they know about me, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, Dawn, I mean, I think it's incredible what you're doing. I think that, it's again, so proud to be able to, see where you've come from, how far you've traveled, and what you've had to, deal with, and the challenges that you've had to face, but that you've overcome them, and now sharing your magic with others so that they can create that for themselves as well, right?
I honestly, I look at it like the universe gave me plenty of experience to be a great coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's tell the audience one more time how they can find you on social media.
For sure. My YouTube is my name, Dawn Super, with no spaces. My Facebook is super, comma, Dawn, all spelled out. And my website is encouragementchallenge.com. I'm launching that on August 8th. So I'll have, yeah, it's really good.
It'll be visible for people on your communication channels.
Profound is one of the words used to describe it from early reviews. So
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well,
excited.
it's wonderful to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming on. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Our next guest is Krista Ford. Now, there's going to be a lot that we're going to talk about here, but one thing is Krista went from homeless to world champion. She's going to be telling us about this. As a pioneer of the sports world, Krista Ford has broken gender and race barriers. She's defined gender norms in the male-dominated sport of powerlifting for more than 40 years. During this time, she earned the title of national champion 14 times and world champion 7 times, setting national and world records along the way. Krista was the first Black female bobsledder for the U.S. women's team. She also was a part of the women's team to earn a silver medal at the International Women's Bobsled Cup race in 1998 in Winterberg, Germany. Krista Ford, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Cornelia. I appreciate it.
Well, congratulations on all of your achievements.
Well, thank you. I'm still setting them. I'm still moving, but yes, thank you very much. It's been a lot of work, but it was definitely well worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you've broken a lot of limitations, you've moved through a lot of barriers, and I'm sure you've had to face a lot of challenges and belief in yourself along the way.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't get here or anybody. You have to believe in you first. If you don't believe in you, then nobody else will too as well. That's been my focal point, and I've been locked in on that for over 4 decades now. I absolutely love what I do, so that helps a lot. I have a passion and a vision, and I love what I do as an athlete, and so that helps us a lot when you actually have it here in your heart and you start moving that way. But yeah, you got to believe.
Now, do you have a support system?
I do. God is my support system.
Yeah.
And everybody else he sends with him to me. I have a awesome group of guys that are around me, been around me for years. I call them my pit crew. That has to do with my powerlifting. They help me train, get me ready, and a lot of times they'll go with me to compete because I need a whole team with me when I'm competing. So that along with now just friends and people that I've been on the team with for years. So that's a lot of my support as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
Earlier, before when we were in the green room, you were talking about the law of attraction, that
yeah.
you are, you work the law of attraction. You know how to use the law of attraction. Do you want to speak about that?
Yes. So it's been quite a few years, but I got the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And I didn't even know what the law of attraction was. I did not know what any of the laws of the universe were, any of that. I know I was a very high believer in God and the universe and energy, but I didn't know quite how to do all that. So when I dove into the book, I learned what is the law of attraction. And at the end of the day, I realized that it is basically what I've been um, believing, thinking, and everything my whole life, my whole athletic career. And that is what you think about, you bring about in the world. So you got to speak it, whatever it is. And if you really are intentional with that thought, it's going to come true for you, and that is a lot of it. It's just like 90% of your brain. You got to be really thinking that you believe in it and that it will happen for you and it'll manifest and it'll come to fruition, but you have to practice this. It's like homework. Every day you have to practice it. And then once I started learning that, then I started diving into the 12 laws of the universe. And one of the laws is the law of attraction. That's one of them. So I'm learning the other ones as we're talking now. I'm slowly learning each one of them. But they kind of all tie in together. It basically is that we're all have purpose here on earth. We all are innately connected. We're connected to our creator. And what we make of our life here on earth is really a lot up to us and how we're thinking in our process of what we want to see happen for our lives. Each one of us is the same way, really.
The law of attraction is a powerful tool to use, because it
Yes.
is about positivity. It
Yes.
is about, if you want to use the law of attraction for positivity, the law of attraction could be just as powerful if you're using it for
For
negativity,
negativity,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Yes, yes,
So
exactly.
it's a powerful tool. Now, I know that you're doing some speaking engagements. You're coming out here to Seattle. When
Yes.
is that? When you're coming out here
I
next
will
month?
be out there August the 7th and 8th. I'll be speaking at a huge convention that is for HBCU. So they're bringing out 25 students from HBCU colleges, and I am going to be one of the keynote speakers to speak about the magic of life. How do you do this? How do you live this? And these kids are all in college, of course. So they really need to get some good direction right now on how to maneuver this, how to work this, how do you bring all these things into existence for your life? So yeah, I'll be out there in a little bit, couple of weeks now.
That's exciting to be a keynote speaker and
Yeah,
to speak to the college kids and help them and influence them to, look for a better way or
exactly.
create a better way for themselves, even in the midst of all the chaos and everything that's going on in the world.
And then and that's the key. So right now we're living in this world of complete chaos and drama and trauma and everything else you could think of. So I believe that if there's some kind of small way that I can contribute and bring a message out there of hope, I think that that's what I need to be. I know that's my calling right now. I need to be doing that. I need to tell the whole world about there's hope. There's still great people out here on this earth. There's still a lot of good humanity. And those kids being in college right now, they need to get with the right people and the right tribe around them now that can keep them focused and locked in on the right path. I really am very positive about that one because in college and things like you get a lot of distractions, a lot of things going on. And so if you can start getting the message that you can do it as long as you believe in yourself. You can have, do, and be anything you want in this lifetime. All you got to do is gotta believe, gotta have the heart, and just know there's a lot of great people still walking on this earth with kindness and love in their heart and to help people. So.
Well, I asked you earlier on if you had support,
Mm-hmm,
because I know how important it is
mm-hmm.
when you are out there and you're doing your thing. And if there's somebody that you can call or some mentor or some
Yes,
coach or somebody
yeah,
that is showing the way, somebody that is your support team, it's important to have
it's
that.
very important. And I will have to say, let me retract back then. So yes, I've had the support of all my coaches,
Yeah.
my team, my friends, some of my family. But for the most part, honestly, my biggest support, and it's just like I've always run to him all the time, every time I compete, every time I've done anything, that's my biggest support system upstairs.
Well,
And
that's true
yeah,
because nobody can outdo God, right?
no.
Right.
They
It's
could
that,
try,
right?
but I don't
Yeah.
think it'll work too well. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think that's good to
yeah,
know that, yeah, that's where I ultimately will land every single time and build from there.
And I
Because
think that God
God
gives,
will send
yes,
people to
I
support.
would, oh my God, I was just getting ready to say that. I was just getting ready to say, God will send you the right people in your tribe and cultivate the right people around you to make sure that you have support here on earth as well as in heaven and everything in the universe. But you're right. I was just getting ready to say that. That's funny. We great minds think alike. They do.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, I agree.
Are you active on social media?
I am sort of. They're getting on me about that now. They're like, you got to get on social media more. Um, in the past, no, I haven't been, and it's really because I've been asked that question. Why don't you be on social media more? And I said because I've really been concentrating on the last 40 years of obtaining what I need to obtain and do what I do, and I just really haven't got all into like somebody knowing that I just ate an egg this morning. I'm good. I don't need nobody to know. But I do my social media that I am on, Instagram, Facebook. I have a YouTube channel on my own that you can subscribe to, and all of that stuff is under Power by Krista. It's Krist. So yeah, you can find me there.
There
Yeah.
you go. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give the audience an opportunity to be able to look you up and find
Yeah.
you and follow you and find out what it is, to grow with you, to find out more if they want to connect.
Exactly. And then my website is the biggest way to get a hold of me. So it's www.powerbykrista, Krista, and .com. And on there, I got all kinds of stuff. You can pre-order my book that's coming out. That's all on the website. So that's a lot of people. And then you can contact me that way too as well.
Well,
But
that's
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Krista, for coming on. I just want to congratulate you for all the wonderful work that you're doing, that have
Thank
done,
you.
and that
Thank
you
you.
will continue to do. And may you stay as blessed as you are.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah. We're going to take a break on the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Janell Warkentin is here, and her journey is a testament to overcoming life's obstacles and discovering one's true purpose. Despite early academic struggles due to undiagnosed dyslexia, and an auditory processing disorder, Janell found solace and strength in her connection with animals, especially horses. This bond not only helped her realize her intuitive abilities, but also paved the way for her future. Her growth into a skilled, energetic healer, guiding clients to overcome their emotional blocks and discover their true selves. Janell's story is about embracing authenticity, understanding one's gifts, and living a life of purpose and meaning. Welcome to the show, Janell Warkentin.
It is so great to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yes. As soon as you said that the animals supported you, I want to hear more. So do tell your story.
It has been, hindsight's 2020, right? Because
Yeah.
at the time when I was just a youngster, it was so normal and natural to be with animals that I just didn't realize all what was going on with a connection that was that special, that which I was experiencing was special. And I was gifted the upbringing. It was very rural. So we were in the woods, the mountains in northern Idaho, parts of Montana, and later in Oregon. And I was around bear and cougar and bobcat and bunny rabbits and horses and sheep and dogs and cats. This was my normal world daily, and and I look back on that, and that is a space where I navigated in the place of intuition. Animals, it's so natural for an animal to be connecting in a space that we now identify as our heart space, an intuitive sense, that's their normal. And I was in that, and it was my normal until I fast forwarded into school, where now I am in a space of all language. And I started experiencing my dyslexia. I started experiencing my auditory processing disorder, which I didn't know until I was well into my 20s. But the confusion was massive. And I could tell I wasn't right. Something was wrong with me. And I started shutting that stuff down because without knowing, it must have felt, because I was so little, I don't know what my logic was, but it wasn't safe to be me. It was confusing. I was wrong all the time because I couldn't read, I couldn't spell. I was just, socially so confused. And I struggled to enunciate words, so people struggled to understand me in the beginning. So in that world of confusion, I'm like, I have to change something if I'm going to make it. And so I started building personas that would be what I perceived as what would be acceptable in society, the society that I called normal. And so the school setting and so on. So those personas were there to protect me. And but it was also desperately covering up who I authentically was. And when we do that, we get this, we know we're faking it. We know this isn't right. We're making decisions that aren't in alignment with who we are. All these really destructive habits and situations that we bring into our lives because of this. So it wasn't until when I was in my mid-20s that I picked up horse training again. So I was a horse trainer when I was 17. And if you would have asked me when I was 3, what are you going to be when you grow up? I'd have said, I am a horse trainer. It wasn't what it going to be. Yeah, I was. It just was, I just knew it. I knew it. I saw it. I started showing, oh my gosh, I started showing horses when I was 8, and I lost every class I was in. I was literally, if I got a ribbon, it was just because there were 6 people in the class and I got the last one. I never saw that as a loss. I was a horse trainer. I just was. And then I was 12 and I started working with a horse trainer with my own horse. There's a whole story in that, but I saved my own money, all these things. So I'm at the horse train and I'm learning to train. And so by 17, I was a professional horse trainer. And I wasn't last in every class. So, I knew what I was at 3 years old. So at 25, I build an indoor, I come back to it. And because I traveled the world and did some schooling and things. And so I came back to it when I was 25, built an indoor arena, and I started training again. The horses that I attracted were outlaws, would be labeled outlaws. So they had been with several trainers, or their owners tried to train them or started training them, and the horses acted out violently. And so they landed in my space, and I would move them in my space free just to move about. And I watching through the corral gate. I'm watching through the arena gate, and I'm like, oh my gosh, biomechanically, you're just off. And I started seeing that this animal wasn't moving. Why aren't you moving correctly? What's wrong? And I got curious about that. That started the journey. And I found 3 beautiful healers, which we didn't call them healers 25 years ago. I had a horse chiropractor, who was a healer. I had a vet that brought in Eastern medicine, so acupuncture and herbs. She is a healer. And then a gal that did body work. And so I brought these horses to them with permission from the owners. And we started figuring out what was going on. So what chiropractic issue are we having, and all these layers to it. So as they did their work, I brought the horses home and I did the follow-up work. And the beautiful thing that happened was the horses started showing me what my gifts were again. And that's going to make me cry. It was so amazing because they touched a spot that was authentically me. We desire to be who we are, whether we're thinking about it or not. There's a piece of us that is the most dynamic, beautiful, powerful us. And it is just screaming for and to be seen. And those horses, we have a spectrum of emotion. We could just call it the basic 4 primary colors. If we're going to compare, animals work in, like, you go to Sherman-Williams and you get the color chart and there's 10,000 colors on that wheel. That's the animal's connection to emotion. Ours are the 4th primary. they come in and they can understand us at a level that we don't even understand ourselves. And they reached through all those personas, all my fear, and they touched my heart. And that gave me the opportunity to start opening up. They brought understanding. We long to understand, not just be, but understand who we are. So as they touched that heart of me, the understanding could start to happen. I could start connecting to that as well. And as I put my hands on the horses, I started seeing where they were feeling, where they were blocked. I was doing the follow-up from the treatments that the 3 gals would do. And then I take them back and I go, oh, I saw this and this and felt this. And they're going, that's the meridians. That's this. That. And so as the horses opened my gifts up, the gal healers were explaining to me what I was doing. And that was the beginning of me realizing and connecting to that most authentic part of me that had gotten shut down so many years ago.
And now do you help others connect with their authentic self?
That's exactly what we do. Yeah.
And how do you do that? Do you do that on Zoom or do you do that in person? How is that done?
It's both ways. We do things in person. We have small groups, and we can do where they are coming together and they're sitting. The horse will actually pick them, where we actually allow people to sit with the horses, but the horse chooses them. Then we do, and this one we do the most, where we bring in small groups or individuals, and it's like I'll let the horse choose, and I bring the Zoom into the horse facility, and the horse does the work. And people are often like, how is that even possible? I said, just sit with it, come in with an intention, and be ready to receive, and be ready to know it's going to show up in a way that most people do not have a clue how it's going to show up for them. And that's the beauty. The horse knows what door to come in. We all have our brain loves to be involved, and it gets in our way sometimes. And the horse goes, well, I know how to backdoor this. And they'll come in and they'll touch us in that space. And then that whatever we're needing at that moment, or a sequence of things that we're needing, that horse will give the person. So it'll either be a healing or it'll be a healing, it'll be an activation, and they will get an awareness of something that they've been blind to often, that will open up they'll be like, oh, I had no idea that was a blind spot for myself, which is a beautiful gift, because we can't change or heal or grow anything we're not aware of. So
That's beautiful. So these sessions that you're talking about, are they done on a consistent basis, or are they done just during several times a year or something like that?
yeah, I do work with individuals one-on-one, and those will be customized. Some people have come to me and they're like, I really want to see this piece shift. And so I'll tap into guidance and go, okay, what's for your highest best? Okay, let's work together this amount of times, 3 times, 5 times. My fave, though, what I see is the most impactful for people is coming into the small groups, because you have the synergy. And I like it small because I want to individualize each piece for everybody. I want to be able to make it very unique, and channel the messages specifically for them. And the small groups run in 6 weeks. And then we go next level, 3 months, and then next level, 6 months. So each group class is building on. So the 3 month builds on what was laid in the foundation of the 6 week. And it's about connecting what's ready for that person. What's the goal? What's the intention? What's ready for you? Well, what's in your way? What needs to be activated, and what's ready to grow and to be understood? And so you get the synergy in the small groups, and then you get the individual channeled piece for each person, so that you're working where you're at. It's not, so we don't can it. I don't like the whole feeling of the canned. So yeah, that's how that looks.
I love what you're saying. I mean, this is something that I'm very curious about myself. So let's give the audience the social media handles where people can find you on social media and learn more about your incredible work.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Janell Warkentin. And same with Instagram. It'll be the same handle, Instagram and LinkedIn, Janell Ray. Janell Warkentin will be the two ways you can find me. An email is janell@janellray.com. So if there's any questions that you specifically have, we check that often, and we love talking with people.
That's so great. I'm so glad that you're doing this work. I think it's very profound work. We can't go into it. We might have to have you come back for another show so I can tell you the whole thing.
Would
But I'll
love.
just give you the gist of this. Is I recently had a dream where 9 wild horses were inside of my house. Can you imagine? 9 wild horses inside of my house. Can you imagine what that message was all about for me? So when you're talking to me about horse and wild horses and power, wild, right? It's like, wow. So I love what you're doing. And I also noted that you are out here in the Portland area, so you're not too far away from us. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. I want to thank you so much, Janell, for coming on, and would love to have you come back for another show.
Would love to be with you. Thank you. I enjoyed here being with you too. And I want to hear the rest of the story. The sense of 9 horses and the thunder of their feet is significant. That's important in that message.
Okay, I will contemplate that. Thank you so much.
Okay, great to be here with you all. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you for listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. We'll see you again next week, Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Take good care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.